Just lately, I saw her OB in the paper.
So Pops
Also,
managed the airport.
yep.
Which airport was it?
Well, the Boeing one, not
The
the big,
Boeing,
not SeaTac.
not SeaTac, but the Boeing
But
airfield.
Boeing landed their biggies there because
Yeah,
they had to test them. They couldn't risk testing them at the big airport.
but Pops also did photography for
Yes.
local news. He was was he a freelance photographer?
Yes. Yes.
So tell me about that.
He did that at night.
He did that at night.
He sold things during the day and anything. But then, well, this was also steady. Also, I jumped. He he freelanced and did this and that, and then he'd go and TV had just come in, and he went up and he'd sell his pictures to
Yeah.
the TV. And they got used to him. He'd race with a scoop and get there first, and I think there was one station here first, then there were two. Now there's competition,
Yeah.
and his station scooped with Daddy's picture enough times to where they got used to him and hired him, and because he knew it was newsworthy, particularly of fire. Fire always looks great on it.
Yeah.
In those days, we take it so much for granted we wouldn't even look anymore.
Right.
But Daddy would practically get in the middle of it or stand on a burning timber, and he'd get the shots that were quite spectacular.
Was that for Cairo or Como?
Honey, I've forgotten. But he worked for every one of the stations.
Oh, he did.
He went from one to the other. He went as high as he could go, photographer. Then the stations would get two photographers. Well, he was the senior one, and he earned the most. And but then, so this is before he went to the airport, and he got to be well known in town. He got a credit on the screen.
Oh.
Oh yeah, and I'd get phone calls. We saw John's name, and he says, "What's he doing?" What? And I said, "Well, he's the station's photographer." And TV was so new, it was so, awesome, and you turned off the phone, and after dinner, everybody was, the theaters went broke because no one was there. They were watching their own, not movies, but their own TV, and and stories, captivated us, and you'd go from chapter to chapter, just like the radio with their stories. Oh yeah, it was so new, and then people were fascinated that Daddy worked for a TV station.
Yeah.
you know.
Didn't he? He had a police scanner.
Yeah.
Next to his...
right beside the bed. Squawk, squawk, squawk. So yeah. I think it was even put something in the car or something. Well, when they hired him, they gave him a car. Because he had to drive to these emergencies.
Yeah.
And Daniel would go with him sometimes. And there weren't those kind of rules. I suppose there'd be an insurance thing up to your yin now. But, well, what am I saying? It probably wasn't Daniel. It was probably Toby. I got to get the years. Because it scared the hell out of Daniel. We'd all rush around. He'd have the scanner on, and there'd be something that he'd better get to. Where's the keys? Have I got my son? Get the camera. Jiboo. And everybody would be rushing around doing something, and Daniel would start to cry because all this hubbub, there's something going on which he didn't understand. Poor little guy. And yeah. So it wasn't Daniel. It must have been Toby.
Well, he also filmed some of the hydroplane races, right?
Oh yes.
He
worked for the station.
Yeah, and he got to operate some of the cameras and the
sure.
That must have been.
He was there when the first flip came, and the announcer started the Hail Mary over the air.
Oh.
Or the Our Father, one of the others, and the station got complaints. I think it was the Hail Mary, because that's so Catholic. And you're not supposed, it was Protestants or atheists calling, and they didn't want to hear that on the TV. So.
Was Pops also there? I mean, was he still working at Boeing at this time? He worked at the airfield during the day, and then he did the photography stuff at night?
Not anymore, because he was getting to the point where to have the camera was one thing, but they got a cam thing. It sat on your shoulder and took the voice,
Yeah.
but it was huge. When they first came out, everything is big.
Right.
And he couldn't carry it. He's getting old.
Oh yeah.
It bothered him. It bothered him, and it hindered him. He couldn't really move around like he wanted to, and it had to be connected on a cord, if I'm not mistaken. In those
Oh, yeah.
days, something, and he couldn't, and then I think it was just about that time that he got the offer for the Boeing. So after that, he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't. No.
Well, you two were around when there was that the 747 jet that flipped, that did a barrel roll
Yeah,
over Lake
I
Washington.
think, yeah.
I remember Pops talking about that. Like he knew he knew the guy the
Yeah.
pilot.
Yeah, he kept track of some of those guys because they were young men when he worked there when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And they still were there, and he knew some of them that he kind of kept track of it.
Yeah, he told me, he said that the guy knew that it could do a barrel roll. He asked if he could do the barrel roll. They denied him, but he was so confident in the plane that he did it anyhow.
Very
And
dangerous.
they took his pilot license away
You know,
because of that.
I've
Yeah,
forgotten how it
that's what Pops mentioned something to that.
went.
Didn't was there also the Pops have something to do with there was that that famous hijacking? Who was he? The
Cooper.
guy Cooper.
Yeah,
And he
no.
bailed out of the back of the
No,
plane?
he had nothing.
No, didn't have anything. Someone said he had something to do with that. Not with the hijacking itself, but like the airport that he landed at, or was Pops didn't work at that airport? No.
No.
Oh.